Hi everyone. I really am tempted to show another Ruy Lopez game. I'll try to move on to other variations or other openings with Caracon and Queen's Gambit and Kings and so on and so forth. But I really got to show this one before I move on. Uh, Thanks for those of you who have been slowly liking my YouTube videos. Really appreciate that. So this was a game that was played in way back in 1987 for the World Junior. Uh, White was played. The white player was Mark Deason. He was the former World Junior champion, and he died 4 years back. He was a fantastic player, and his opponent is Egmont. This was in fact a game from the World Junior 1987. So let's get on with it. E4 E5. I'm going to go over the the opening moves fairly quickly and try to show a very key position uh, and then we can go over it. So bishop b5 a6, bishop a4, knight f6, white castles, bishop e7, rook e1, b5, bishop b3, black castles, and white goes in with d4. Well, basically this is sidestepping the martial attack, because typically in a martial setup for Lopez you have the c3 followed by the d4, but white goes in with an early central pawn breakthrough. So this is basically sidestepping the martial attack. A d6, c3. So there you go. So it kind of completes the setup, uh, but it's fairly common. Even this till this date. So black goes in with bishop g4, bishop e3. Black captures the d pawn, e takes d, c takes d, and knight a5. Black retreats the bishop, obviously wanting to maintain the nice bishop. The light square bishop c5. Black's aggressively trying to you know maneuver around the center, so trying to capture the center, because white has these pretty active pawns on e4 and d4. So he tries to break that chain. So that's a pretty standard move as well with c5. And after knight bd2, black captures with c takes d, bishop captures d4. Yeah, that's pretty forced because the knight is pinned. um, Knight c6, and the bishop retreats back, and again black pursues his another central pawn, d pawn push with, and trying to break this pawn as well. Now h3, bishop h5. He still wants to maintain that, the pin on the knight. uh, and white Deason basically goes for it. He goes for g4. So this is a key position that, this is actually the critical position in the game. So it's basically a decision that black has to make, whether he wants to, you know, move the bishop to g6, which uh, in the long run would be a pretty solid move. But but he goes in with the pawn capture, d takes e. Obviously, if g takes h, you have e takes f, and it's fairly equal. But black believes that this is basically doubling the pawns on the head side, and he thinks that's quite attractive, because white's pawn structure is completely shattered with an open king. But I think Deason, the white has really, thought through this, and he goes in for the kill. He doesn't obviously retreat the knight, and let's go over the normal. The main game first. So he goes in with g takes h. So there you go. So you have this. Double h pawn. The king is completely exposed, but so e takes f, and queen takes f. So have a look at this position. So all of white's pieces have greater activity, and all of them are very well coordinated. So it's the bishop is developed, the rooks are well connected, and the knight can anytime hop on to the center, and yeah, you have this nice pawn on h5 as well. Yeah, the only downside to it is the black's king is exposed, but but is there really any counterplay by black in trying to mate the white king? It looks far away from that, and that's what actually triggered white to go for this kind of this kind of line wherein he captures the knight, and you know uh, puts the double pawn, and he comes up with a brilliant mating attack. So let's continue on with the game. So black goes in with knight b4, obviously attacking the bishop uh, bishop b3, knight b to d5, um, bishop g5 follows, h6, the bishop retreats, rook e8, rook ad1. Uh, just that you want to line the rook with the in the same line as the black queen. So black moves rook a7, obviously wanting to come down to this key square on d7, and also in the long run it acts as a protector of the f7 square. So it's a it's a it's a decent move. I mean, the black has to defend first, because I think white is slowly trying to build up a massive attack on the king side. The next couple of moves, you'll definitely see that white goes in with knight e4, black plays rook d7, and knight g3. So there you see the knight has actually traversed from d2 to e4 to g3, and in the long run I think he wants to place this knight on f5, and go for attacking the h6 or the g7 pawns, because his queens and bishops are really well placed for a deadly attack. Knight to c7. I mean, black's intention is to exchange of the pieces, but white goes in with knight to f5, and bishop to b4. So this is another critical position. I mean, this is really the critical position in the game. So have a good look at this position, and what do you think of white's? I mean, what do you suggest that white's next move would be? So I mean, an exchange would be of no use. I mean, rook takes rook. I mean, queen takes rook can follow. Um, I mean, I mean, it's basically a very simple calculation, I believe. So knight takes pawn. I mean, a simple knight sacrifice. So um, again, basically there are three alternatives. I mean, you can either retreat the king to h8. You can retreat the king to f8, or you can basically capture the knight on h6 with the pawn. So let's go with let's say king f8. I mean, yeah, I mean, now what can follow is one possible option is rook takes rook, queen takes rook, rook takes rook on d7, queen takes, and knight takes on f7. So with material wise, 2 3, yeah, white is 2 pawns ahead now, and if he wants to try to block the bishop in protecting the knight, with, let's say, knight cd5, he actually loses this piece. I was just seeing this line. So it's something like knight e5 follows. After queen d6, bishop takes knight, g takes, and after knight check, you have that check, and after king g7, you know the knight is lost. So white is materially up and should grab this fairly straightforward. So let's go back to the position now. What if king h8? I mean, this loses straight away to knight takes pawn on f7, and if rook takes f7, rook takes d8, of course. Let's go back to the position where we had knight. There was a knight capture on here. Knight takes h6 check. So black actually went in with g takes h, and I mean this was really kind of forced, and what follows in the next 3-4 moves is a brilliant mating pattern. I'm sure you might see it as well. So bishop takes knight on f6, rook takes rook. I mean desperado, rook takes rook. Queen has to retreat. I mean queen c8. The g4 square is really unprotected. I mean there's no way that black can prevent this g4 square. So queen g4, and it's kind of forced king f8, and queen g7 is mate. Uh, I mean this was really a fantastic game. So I think this was the just want to go back to that position where white played g4. I think this was really the key moment when black decided that he'd capture this pawn, and white actually saw that his pieces will be well coordinated. So there you go. So thanks for watching, and